All right, so we're back, the same session from the guitar picking video. I wanted to come back because I wanted to try to make this mix a little bit better while also teaching balancing and how getting your balances right in the beginning of the mixing session can lead you to the correct mixing decisions and will lead you to a better master. Um, Balancing is pretty important, which is obvious, but balancing without just using these faders here and not even like putting any plugins on, which I'll turn off in a sec. Um, it can again like kind of take away variables, any uncertainties when you're reaching for an EQ, compression, or saturation, whatever. Um, Getting levels to be matched becomes easier, which I'll get into, and you'll just be a bit more confident in your moves and not having to second guess and go back and start over, which I know is a headache. Oh, and I had these on in, oh, not this one. I had these on in the last video, basically my mastering chain, and it was kind of part of the problem and why I didn't like the original mix because first of all, the guitars, which is an 8 string, it was low tuning, drop E. It's going to inherently have a lot of low end information, and combined with a bass that's also in a low tuning, and using this, loading it up right now, IR cabinet, the Arizona cabinet of this STL to Natalie Will Putney. Um, Arizona by Vane. It's a really, really deep bassy IR. So it definitely did not help with achieving clarity. And then of course, like I like deep kicks. Um, what kick is it again? Let me check. It is Yamaha Recording Custom Birch. This one, I like this one. Nice and deep, and it's also like clicky if you wanted to. So all that together, it's definitely gonna make this compressor work very hard. And I also forgot to set the high pass filter. I like it around 92, but since I have it off, like it's just making the low end like super dominant and just kind of getting the compressor to activate unnecessarily. The low end information is basically hitting the compression and then nothing else, and that's why it sounds so dark and not loud. Having too much low end buildup can affect your loudness. But yeah, let's turn these off and let's listen to mix again. And oh, this is the soft picking. Let me turn that off. Turn this, and then let's listen to it again. So this is without the mastering stuff. Okay, not too bad. So I did want to try and check again without the plugins on. So let's turn these off. Oops. And I apologize in advance if I say a bunch of and stutter a lot. I just want to make this video or these videos as much as I can without any editing or as little editing as I can. But anyway, you can kind of keep the guitar tone that you picked out when you're balancing. Um, you can also check without the tone and just the DI. But if you level matched your tones, and I think I did it for the guitars, it should be fine. Let's check the level matching. Just go to the guitars. So looking at the levels, it's peaking around 6 here, peaking around 12 here on the bus. So if I turn it back on. And I'm just gonna turn it on and off. Okay, so I could already notice that it needs a little bit more output, and I usually make the habit of doing that with the ML Sound Labs. I usually end up like increasing the output knob, usually like up to like 3 o'clock just to get it to level match. So I just need to turn it up and then look for the peak to be around 6 and we'll be good. So that's about right. Check again on and off. So you notice that once the tone or the amp is on, obviously it's distorted, so it's a little bit more compressed, right? But you could tell like there's still a volume drop, even though it's still kind of peaking at 6. So I will still push it a little bit more just to get the volume right. Okay, that's maybe a little bit much. It's somewhere in between. I think that's good. And that's pretty much it. That's like gain staging in a nutshell for me. Same thing with the bass. Oops, that is not the bass. So it's a little bit above 18, below 12. That's kind of hard, but it's a good thing we have this number right here that helps tell me where it's peaking. Okay, so as I keep clicking it to reset it, it looks like it's in between like -15, -13, around there. So let me check again with the amp. Yeah, so it's a little bit more important to check this just because like there's a huge amount of dB difference between just watching the numbers here. That's about right, and then you could tell like this IR is just bassy. I would rather switch it to something that's more complementary to the tuning and the mix. But I think for the sake of this video, I will actually, you know what? Let's look for a better tone, a tone that works for the mix. So if you want something very bassy and you have like the same exact plugin, Arizone's cool. I like Arizone, but I think what is a good one? I think Node is also bassy, I think. Not as, so it's a little bit less low end actually. That's another one that I like to use, Node, that's from North Lane. Low Teens I think is bassy. Yeah, a little, yeah, that's bassy. I think Arizona is the most, and Grey Bloom. Like Grey Bloom. There's a lot of bass there, but I think it's also scooped somewhere. Oh yeah, that's a lot of bass. Like very growly, which is cool. I might like that. I might choose that. I'm in between that and Node. Yeah, that one might be too much. We'll go with Node. So let's check the levels again. I wish this version of the plugin could tell me if it's clipping. It used to, but this new update's not really doing that anymore. It's hovering a little bit louder than the DI. Let's turn that down. Oh wow, it's actually needs to be turned up. It's tricky because the DI is not very bassy. It's very like clanky, high, mid to high mid. But when I turn on the Will Putney plugin, it becomes very bassy. So you really use your ears as well to get the balance right. This is cool. This is fine. It's in the same like ballpark. Maybe there's a little bit too much bass actually. Maybe that's why it's peaking so loud. So let me just turn this down. Maybe increase the treble a little bit just to get it to kind of be similar to how the DOI EQ is. Yeah, you could see the the volume just completely drops when bringing down this bass. So let's just bring that back up. I think that should be it. Nope, needs to be a little bit louder. I think that's it. Yeah, I would say spend as much time as you need to, because once you get these right or as close as you can, I feel that everything else down the line will be easy for you. All right, so let's check the mix with the drums again. So another thing you could do is have like a stereo plugin of some sort that has the ability to turn the mix into mono. It would really help because balancing in mono has been like a game changer for me. And when it comes to balancing, because once you, I usually use mono more for balancing and finding like very almost minimal like EQ changes, but usually like volume balancing, compression, leveling, and it's helped me get things in the right kind of space in the mix. So let's listen to that and adjust. Actually, let me make things easier by taking out this solo track. So without. I don't think this is on. It is not. That is my bad. Alright, here we go. Alright. So I stuck to me is that I think my drums are overlapping each other. Is I don't know, it just suddenly I just saw the peaks and go up and then it just went loud. Maybe, I guess not. Oh, it's in this last 8 measures. Ooh, that's bad. Hopefully, like, it's not every hit. Oh, yeah. Looks like it's just a downbeat. So I just take those out. Oh, man. That's kind of unfortunate. Well, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time. I'm just gonna not play that part. Very professional video. Anyway, back to balancing in mono. So what stuck out was the guitars, and I just begin with the drums. So I'll mute the bass and the guitars. Just listen to the drums. So there's a lot of bass in the kick, and we should probably remove that. I just don't know. I want to do it with the SSL or the. Actually, no. Let's do this just so it's easier. I really like this stock EQ from Cubase. It's very handy. I like it. When I don't feel like using the SSL, you could literally use just any EQ, whatever EQ doesn't matter. Everybody likes to use the Pro Q3 or whatever, but any EQ is fine. I'll just go straight to this section. Oop. Go. So you can see there's just a lot of low end. Oh yeah, let me just take out that notch because that's kind of like a spoiler. But usually in rock and metal kicks, you do have to kind of have this dip, this large 17 dB dip to make space for the guitars and the bass. But yeah, here's the kick. So I still try to keep some of the low end there. I might need to chop a bit more if I have to. It depends on how busy the mix is, but since we just have guitarist, bass, and a lead, you can get away with a little bit more. But here's this node or this peak here, dipping at negative 17. Sometimes you need to go that crazy. It just takes up a huge amount of the low end. Let me pull that up so you could hear. Yeah, I don't really think that's useful for this kind of song. But yeah, let's just listen to that with the whole drums. All right. So you notice that the kick is a little bit more tolerable. It's not overpowering the rest of the drum kit. I'll kind of bypass it on and off. All right. I think I don't know. I'm kind of listening to for what I want to do next, which is a snare. It kind of seems like the snare is kind of being a little bit more sticking out now that we control the kick with just that high pass and that low dip. But oh, this is a gate plugin from VSA. You can get it pretty cheap when it's on sale. It's just like it's like this really easy to use noise gate, but you could use any gate to be honest. The reason is that this snare, I don't know how, I don't know what's wrong with my modern massive, but there's like bleed from other tracks, like the kick or whatever. And I've gotten to fix it before, but it requires like restarting the plugin, and that kind of messes with like my outputs, and I just don't want to deal with that. But it's also good practice to know to just have a gate if you want your drum to sound a little bit tighter, because it's gonna sound like this. Oh shoot, let me disable the sense. So you're hearing cymbals and the kick, and obviously you don't want that when you're EQing and compressing. So that's why you have a gate on. Makes sense, right? And oh, I guess I just used this. Yeah, I should probably just use the stock EQ just to kind of make things easier for everybody. Like this should be easily um replicated because it's just very basic stuff, and I think that everybody kind of just overlooks. Um, a lot of YouTubers or mixing instruction, whatever, like to say, "Oh, this is the technique that'll take your mix to the next level. This is the um, plugin that you need to get you to the next level." It's they're just trying to sell you something usually, like whatever. It's a business. That's their um, thing, and I don't hate them for that, but handling your basics such as balancing is kind of what you just need to do, and that's why a lot of well, not a lot, but that's why you get these bedroom producers, not in just metal, but hip hop, EDM, etc. They could just make a hit right in their bedroom or in their garage because they just have a good ear for the balance. But anyway, the snare. All right, let me just bypass. So just I like to take out 100. 100 is like a set and forget kind of thing. I don't think too hard about it. It's like whatever. Like I don't really need to hear anything below 100 from the snare, you know? Especially like looking at the graph, like unless like you can hear in the snare itself that there's not really a lot of low information. I'm using the cheap Sennheiser 280, like it's like $100. Like I could tell that there's um some low information there, but you might as well just take it out because it's not really gonna contribute very much. I mean, you could probably squeeze some low end, but why would you want to do that? Because you could just um raise kind of like its fundamental frequency to get it to stick out. But yeah, there is this node here that I took out, about 7 dB. Yeah, because again, like back to the low end thing. I don't think I explained it very well, but about the low end thing, it's definitely just gonna affect your compression, which you'd want to use in this kind of um genre. You just want to be careful about building up all that low end, and the snare, it doesn't generally it doesn't need anything like below 60. You know, for a rock, you could probably get away with 60. But I like to just set and forget like around 90 to 100, like whatever. I don't think about it. I just leave it alone. Um, that's it. Toms. I also like to set it and forget it. I literally just mix by sight. So I use the stock EQ to find where the low end peaks and then rolls off. Let me just find a section like this. So you could see it, the fundamental or whatever, like where the main sound is. I don't even know if I'm saying fundamental correctly. Is around here. You could see on the top right portion, it's about 88, 90 hertz, 100 hertz, whatever. Kind of just rolls off at 80. And for some reason, I just want to use the SSL for the high pass. So I just kind of set around there. That's it. That's Tom's. and then I just boost it at 3 dB at a high shelf at 7.5. That's like the setting when you open this plugin up. That's literally Tom's. It's pretty set and forget for me. I just keep things so simple. So this Tom. Oops. So looking at this graph, so it's even lower, this floor tom. So it likes to hover around mid 60 hertz, rolls off around 50. Okay, let's see what I set for the SSL. All right, just below 50, or just about 50. And then for the rack tom, see, it looks like there. Oh, I'm sorry. Tom 1 is a rack tom. Tom 3 is also a floor tom. So mid 50s. And I have 40. Just set and forget. That's how I like it. It's simple, not so stressful. Um, Turn these on so you have these roll offs, and then just 3 dB boost at the same frequency. Just literally the setting when you open this plugin. I don't think about it. And here's how it sounds. All right, and for the cymbals, I literally just take an EQ and just high pass it around 1000, and I just forget about it. Again, simple. I just straight up don't think about it after I set the EQ. And then, but for like the main cymbals, I like to put a 1176 on it, and then just get like barely a dB of compression, and then of course matching the volume. Like just kissing the needle. And then you got to make sure, or at least I make sure, that the levels are matched by looking at the input and output. It's a little, needs a little bit less from the output. Oh, and then we have rooms. Oh, why did I have it set here? I wonder. Oh, this is a mistake. I don't know why it's set like this. But I guess I'll show how I like to EQ rooms. Basically, I just take a high pass and then a low pass. And then I will take a peak, and then I'll just kind of get rid of like mud around 300, 400, 500, etc. That's been my go-to. However much low end I will give, or high frequency that I will give, depends on the kind of sound I want, my mood, whatever. But it'll usually look like this for me. Your taste may be different, but this is what works for me. Because again, I don't need that kind of low end from the rooms contributing to the mix. And for the high end, if there's cymbals in these, obviously this is a fake drums kind of, and I set it up to be hyper realistic and just have no cymbals included. I could get away with just not low passing it, but I like to have it around here because it could sometimes make the drums stick out too much. But this is very important in getting a good snare sound these rooms. I have it on Q-Link, so whatever I do to this is also happening to the other tracks. Just for ease. And then they go through CLA again. Oh, and since I I set it to what the previous EQ was doing, so I'll just set it again. So I like that kind of compression. That sounded good to me, and I'll just like level match it. It looks like it's peaking right under -6, so I'll just keep it that way for the output. And that's it. Looks like it's peaking just about the same. And there you go. All right, now let's add the bass. I could use a little decrease. Well, I mean, what's cool too is like having it all the way down and then slowly increasing it. All right, I think that's good. And then the guitars. I wonder if this is too bright for the mix. Actually, I think it's just fine because I have not put compression yet. But let's see how it sounds once I put it back to stereo. Okay, it's sounding a little bit better than how it did in the last video. But we still need compression, and then we could really enjoy it. So let's turn that back on. Oh, and then the EQ. I forgot the EQ to kick. So I just do a little. It's basically like Jordan Valeriot settings, where I just kind of have like this bell at 60 hertz, then a high shelf boost around 7.5. Jordan likes to do 8K. I should probably tell you guys who Jordan Valeriot is. He has done like early intervals. They like their first EP, and then the one EP that had vocals in it. Can't even think about it. The exact name. He did the Neck Deep album that was before the one that Andrew Wade did. A lot of Silverstein was Jordan. Like a whole auras, like early auras. Oh, and then the After Image, before they became that Berserk band. What are they called now? But yeah, Jordan Valeriot is cool. I basically learned a lot from him. Him and Brian Hood. But this is like Jordan's kind of go-to settings. Oh, since I I passed here, I don't need this anymore. That's kind of overkill. But here's the kick. you could probably see right here. Yeah, large volume increase, but let's check with the mix to see if we need to adjust that or not. Well, if we had it off, it kind of just disappears. Actually, no. Let's use our ears. Let's add what's necessary. Oh, oops. I need to set this ratio to 1 because it's triggering the compression. So yeah, that's what was needed after all. Okay, this is like distracting. There, that should be fixed. Alright, and then snare, looks like I have something similar. This is the frequency that's set when you open up the plugin. If I check, is that what's also being... oh yeah, so yeah, what do you know? It just works out. It's like peaking around there, might as well boost that. And then brightness, yeah, again, it's literally at the default setting. Oh, let me take that out because we're using the frequency. Sorry, it's called frequency, but it's stock EQ high pass. So let's listen to that in stereo. And let's keep these muted for now. Cool. All right, compression. I literally just set it and forget it for this one too. I just have it at the, I usually like to have it at the slowest attack, fastest release, and I just like drive the compression until I like it. And usually it's a lot of compression, and then I just set the level. So for the kick, oh, this is a distressor emulator by T-Rex. I use this because I got it for free. I think I just got a email about it, or maybe I saw it on like Instagram. I'm just like, all right, cool. I could use a distressor plugin, and then the Empirical Labs one was just kind of too expensive, and this one works. It's always what I've been using. And I use it more than the CLA now for drums, the CLA 76. I really like this. I think it works. I would recommend this if you guys are down to try it. If you don't want to spend $200 on the Empirical Labs one, or however much it costs. Here it is, the kick. Needs to be brought back a little bit down, but immediately the sound of the kick sounded way better. So it's a little bit above 12. Let's set the output to be about the same. Let's add like maybe 0.1 more. Sweet, that's compression. Now the kick's sitting very nicely. Let's do it with the snare. Same settings, slowest attack, fastest release. Check the peak again. And then the tom should be about the same. I've Q linked it. Let's see if the settings are the same. And they are. Check the peaks. Oh, they are very loud. Just turn that down. Let's bring up the toms. Probably have to turn this down. Yeah, with toms I really don't mind being imprecise with the level matching. I could also tell that it probably needs more help in the EQ. Do like 3300. That's usually like what I put for the toms. 3300, 3500, 4000, 4500. I kind of just know because I use these drums all the time. Yeah, that's exactly what it needed. There you go. It's about the same, the peaks. So again, let's listen to it in stereo. So much better. Okay, so I have this parallel compression auxiliary track, and it's before I do that, let me turn on the drum bus, which is another SSL mix bus compressor. So I just like to have it under 4. 30 attack, 0.1 release, so slowest attack, fast release, 4:1 ratio. I just add makeup gain just to match the level. That's it. Not paying attention to the peaks, I listen to the volume for this one. That's a little louder than before, but let me check in the mix. Can we bring that down? Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, let's bring it up by like 0.2, maybe 0.3. Yeah, I think I had it by 2.5 because like when because of the snare, it just it suffered the most turning on this compressor, so I think that's why I have 2.5. Yeah, I think that's why. And so back to the parallel compression, same thing, same plugin, but I have it at the X. This is probably like a limiter type of ratio, but just go with 10 because I like it. Sometimes it depends on my mood. Again, mixing is an art form, and it shouldn't be so robotic and lifeless. This is still music that we're doing here. Nothing needs to be like smashed. If I feel like this needs more dynamics, I'll ease off on compression or parallel compression. But slowest attack, fastest release. I set the threshold to taste, so negative 10.8. Let me just. So that's what it sounded like, but let me just bring it back and then slowly add it back in. So like around 12. I don't add makeup gain. I used to, but I don't. This is because I find that it makes the drums way too overpowering. And like you could see that I have it set really low. I really want this to be subtle. Oh, and then I have the CLA76 because sometimes I would prefer a CLA sound, or the 1176 sound. Not CLA, what am I talking about? It's 1176 sound rather than an SL. It again depends on the mood, depends on the song, the genre, whatever. These two are all that I need. Maybe I'll get the API 2500 if I have the money to burn, but these two do the job that I need to do. I have this black box that basically adds a little bit of um, distortion, some grit, some dirt, whatever buzzword you want to insert, but also to get the peak to be clip. It also acts like a clipper. Sure, I could use this VCA clipper to do the job, but the black box, adds a little bit more character that I want subtly added because this is an aux track. So check out the peaks when I turn it on. So it's varying a little bit because of the snare. Actually, let me bring this up so you could see the effect more obviously. So you could tell the peaks got more consistent. So let's break that back down. Very subtle. Let me add that back in and take it out. Oops. So it sounds like the drums are not hitting as hard when I took it out. And I just have drum reverb and an additional like snare plate-ish sound just to add on top of the rooms to kind of get my own signature snare, make it sound a little bit more unique, even though it's kind of subtle, -14, -12. And for that, I am using more SSL. I like SSL stuff. I kind of want to collect them all, but I don't have that kind of money. I just get them when they're on sale. So I have this, and I kind of just set it at a preset. These are the settings. You could steal them. I don't care. I also have compression on 8:1, and this is what it sounds like. It sounds like the snare is the only thing that's here, but I have the kick and the toms feeding a tiny bit. -42 is like, you don't even notice it. I hear that, but I found that there is a difference, a very, very slight difference. It gives a little psychoacoustic effect, in my opinion. It's doing something, I promise. It kind of helps the drums be placed a little bit better in the mix. That is what I hear. So that's why I have that, and more reverb for the snare. I don't even know if this is a plate sound, but whatever. A misnomer is a misnomer. So this is how it sounds. So me turn that on and off. very subtle. And because of how subtle it is, I don't care about how it's peaking in here. Oh, I guess I also have these Waves IR loader. That's what Jordan used to do, but I moved on to using these just for my own uniqueness. But these are cool too. They have some good sounds. Um, Additional EQ, I don't really need that, so I could take that out. This DLA, that, take it out. Take these out since I don't need it. So let's add the bass back in. Got the guitars. I literally just mixed by eyesight. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're also using your ears to make sure you trust what you see. So there's a lot of low end. Let's take that out. Because that low end's gonna hit the compressor. And we don't want that to just be the only thing that's hitting the compressor. So I like to go with the wide Q. Or like a more natural sounding cut here. Kind of sounds drastic even at just -2, -3, but there's just a lot of low end. It, like when I take it out, your ears just miss it because there's just so much. But just remember the tuning, remember the amount of low end information there is by multiple instruments. You gotta take some of that out, but it should be good once I add the compression back in. I just like to set it to taste. Yep, that's it. Compression doesn't have to be complicated, just set it to how you like it. And just level match. Alright, so add the guitars. And for the EQ, high pass, low pass. I guess we could probably take out some harsh frequency. I mean, it doesn't really sound like it to me, but let's listen to it in stereo first. Now I'm gonna check the guitars and the bass together. It sounds like we could add a little bit back of the low end. guess we could take maybe one harsh frequency. I find 3300 is good. 2500 I would be careful because that's kind of like part of the bite of the guitar, like a really important character of the guitar, like yeah, like your ear relaxes when I take that out, but in the mix kind of, it can sound a little wimpy, a little too clean, um, in a way. So I would be careful about that. So I will choose to not take that part out. Just this 3300. And yeah, I think the mix sounds better than how it did in the previous video. Oh, and I have these like little saturation distortion stuff. This is the SPL Twin Tube processor, so like a, I guess like a tube emulation saturation. I use the B setting for the kick and the toms, and it's in the B mode. Did I just say that twice? It's a long video. Sorry if it's long, but I want to be as in depth as I can. I like to see ABCD as like low, low, mid, high, mid to high, mid, and then high. Same thing for this decapitator. Even though these are different types of consoles that it's emulating, I feel like I could also hear it in a way as low, low end, mid, mid, mid high end, mid, high mid, and then high. That's how I kind of see these modes from me just messing around with them. So this is the kick. Really subtle. And these toms. I think it's a little bit more obvious on this one. And then snare, this decapitator also helps clip the snare. I don't want to have to resort to actually clipping it with the BSA clipper if I don't have to. I like to keep things as dynamic sounding as they can. So you notice that when I turn that on, there's more distortion, but the peak level decreased. It clipped the sound. I usually don't have it past 1. So here's what the drums sound like in the mix. I might add a little bit more drive up to 1. Alright, cool. That's basically a little bit of a better mix. Hopefully, my ideas about balancing made sense, because following that kind of approach helped me improve this mix. Because that last mix was just me just scrambling something together for the last video. But let's see how the mix reacts to the same mix bus or mastering stuff. So I have this Lisa plugin that's doing a high shelf at 40 hertz, 1 dB there, low shelf here, high shelf here at 24K. This is like a trick that I got from Zach Cervini. And then also this low cut here is a high pass at 30. So that should look like this. I don't know if the cut is 2412. Can't say. But I just wanted to show you what that graph looks like. Oh, it doesn't go up to 24, but whatever. This is what it looks like. Very subtle. And I will also show you. Very subtle. But it adds something that's cool. Like a little shimmer, a little shine, a little like low end bump to make everything kind of feel a little bit together. A little bit more oomph at the low end. And another SSL bus compressor. But I have this sidechain high pass filter on now, so it's not hitting anything below this 92 hertz. So the bass and the kick can breathe a little bit better. I forgot to gain match it, so that's what I did right there. And then I have this Oxford inflator at 11.8%, just gives a little nice I guess this is upward compression. Oh wait, no. Is it upward compression? No. It's like it's also like a some kind of a saturator, right? Or like it adds like some harmonics. I think that's what this does. But yeah, here it is. And then I have the El Juan limiter by Dan Corneff. I set the release to taste. I have it at -1. Kind of basically my little brick wall. And then of course dither's on. And I just like have -1 while I use this to for the loudness. Oh, I should probably not. I'm gonna reset this. But here's the limiter. But this is what will get loudness from this clipper. So this is my warning to anybody who doesn't want their ears blasted. I'm gonna start setting this now. And I'm going to check these two meters here to get the loudness that I want and see how this new mix has improved. So hopefully that did not sound as muddy. A little bit more clear, more nice and separated, but still has a good place in the mix. And I mean that with all the instruments. Oh, I am sorry. I forgot about this guy. So I guess I'll mix that really quick and I'll just keep the mastering settings on. so you know guys don't have to deal with sudden changes in volume. Let's go back to mono and then set this by volume. And that's it. I usually, depending on, oh, this is the EQ, it's just like kind of making space for the bass and the guitars. I guess I'll go through that real quick. That's the tone. Or what you hear is a tone. This is its settings for the tone. So STL Putney. I used the Sweet Lead preset, but I kind of messed around with it, I think. I believe I did. I think I messed with the delay and the reverb. I'm not sure. Kind of hard to see where these pointers are at. Cabinet. EQ. Can't remember how much of this I changed. But you're free to pause it. It's something that I kind of just changed quick and then just made for the video or the previous video. So high pass at 186. Just a lot of low end that doesn't need to be there. Some 460 to be dipped because it's in the middle of the mix and I don't want to compete with the bass or the kick or the snare. I just need enough of it to just be in the background. Another subtraction at 1.27 kilohertz to, again, I want it to be subtle in the mix. I kind of just want it behind everything else. And to be behind everything else is also why I did not compress it. Usually I'll put a CLA 76 on this, or a mono, at least. This is a mono track. But in this case, in this specific case, I want it to not be that present, so there's no compression. I would also put compression on the guitars, but since there's not a lot of things going on, and with the way I set the tone and the balance, this does not need compression, I don't think. But I don't mind putting compression on this for this mix, but for the sake of the video, it's kind of going on for too long. I'm just not going to do it. But here is the whole mix. Oh, I'm sorry. We're still in mono. Let me just return that. And just to bring it all to a full circle, here's the soft picking. You can see how much of a difference that makes. I think the effect is much more obvious now, but to drive it home, let me solo the guitars. Huge difference. But yeah, very long video, I know, sorry, but I hope this helps anybody that's struggling with balancing their mixes, or maybe there's something that's sticking out too much. They're trying to get something to sit right and they're just clipping, or maybe it's just not too loud. I think this is what you may need to implement. One thing I also did not touch on is let's say you are given tracks. You can see that, like, oh, you got these guitars and they have this kind of waveform appearing, and then you get this waveform. Let's pretend this is another rhythm track, but for some reason the waveform doesn't look as healthy. You might need to increase the actual gain of this thing to set it, because obviously when the waveform looks weaker compared to something like this, it's gonna sound quieter, obviously. And because of that, you might need to set increase the gain or decrease the gain in some things. It might not be the guitars, it might be the bass, it might be the drums, because you definitely cannot do it with the fader if they're already too low. Maybe you could just have it cranked up and it's still not loud enough, increasing the gain from the track. However you do it in your DAW, that's what you might have to do. So, that's it for this video. It's gone on for too long, but I hope it helped people, and thanks for watching.